at G&M hope you come by and see us for all your livestock needs. We stock feeds for all kinds of animals and hay too. We also have seed for a wide variety of forages for your animals. So come on by 4000 Taylorsville Highway, Statesville, or call us at 704-873-5758. We're worth the drive. Thank you again for supporting small family-owned businesses. God bless.
The following is a paid program and does not necessarily reflect the views of WSIC.
All systems are a go.
Ladies and gentlemen, hold on to your seats. Taking Care of Iredell with North Carolina State Representative Jeff McNeely is about to begin. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning, Iredell County. Well, that sounded rough, didn't it, folks?
Rough weekend.
I pulled a fat man trick. Hey, right, so y'all know, in case you understand what's happening here or hear an interesting, familiar voice, I got the infamous Jason Saine with me today on the show, prognosticator famous for his ability to see through the BS and get straight to the point. And he's right most of the time, which really pisses me off.
We can make it up as we go along, though. I mean, I've done that before, too. Fake it till you make it.
That's what we're doing here.
Yes.
So anyway, we're going to have a good time. We're going to take calls all day today, all through the show, 844-788-3464. But we're just going to go down the ballot. I got Jason the Iredell County ballot. So we get into some of the county commissioners. He may know some of them. He may not. But he knows pretty much about all the rest of the crowd that we're going to do. You know, not sure about the school board stuff either. But we're going to talk mainly about, I guess, the national politics and then the state offices that really do mean a lot and got to be done.
Well, they really do, and people forget about that, right? It's not top of mind when you think about state auditor or secretary of state, but literally that's probably some of the things that you interact with if you're a business owner, small business owner. You know, you think about the administration, how they're executing or not executing their job. You know, these things really matter in your life, sometimes more than the national stuff. People just don't think of it that way because it doesn't get all the press. It doesn't get all the television time and interest. But and I know you've done a lot of like what I've done and that Senator Sawyer's done on her show. You know, making sure that those candidates get some airtime and people start to really know who they're voting for. Because that's the sad part when people go to the polls and they don't really know who they're voting for.
Start picking names.
You know, and it's
dangerous.
It's really not a way to run an effective government. So hopefully, you know, just at least in this area and on the station here on WSIC, done a great job. Some candidate forums too that have been on air, but also my Charlotte 49ers are now on air here on WSIC. So it's very important. It's the most important thing. But you know, look, exciting weekend. Trump's been all over North Carolina. I know he's in Gastonia on Saturday, and I think he's in Raleigh today. Of course, the other side's been back and forth. I heard Tim Waltz went to Gastonia. I haven't heard much since then, but nevertheless,
may have not made it back out alive.
would have been the place I would have picked if I were him. But you know, whatever. Hey, good for them. But yeah, so all that's been going on, and then of course the case of the squirrel. I mean,
you know, I'm lost on the squirrel. I am Peanut the squirrel. I need to catch up. I'm obviously out of the loop.
Well, I only know bits and pieces. You know, a little nut of information here and there about it, but
no pun intended.
But apparently it's a big deal, according to Twitter anyway.
You know, obviously he's right there along with what Puxatawny Phil or something like that.
Puxatawny Phil, yes. Well, you're talking about prognosticating. I mean, you know, me and Phil are just right there. So,
well, you think that Peanut gave him some kind of information that wasn't going to look good for the Harris
probably a Russian
Waltz.
spy is what he probably was.
He could be a plant. He could be a plant, you know. But I'm wondering and that's why it sounds like the government come in and snuffed him. You know, FBI's big on these things.
Well, I'm not sure, but I do think he worked at one time for the Rose Law Firm, and that might, So you got to connect it all back to Arkansas, and that's where it all comes down to.
Okay, so Peanut knew Hillary and Bill a little too well.
Too well. He went jogging in a park, was looking for a few nuts, and just didn't make it back. Apparently,
he's just a squirrel in this world trying to get a nut.
That's right. That's exactly right. This stuff you can't make up. But hey, it's crazy season. It's election season.
All right. So we may get a little off topic. Not really. Not really. Well, let's just go for the big kahuna here.
Yeah.
And we got the president. We got, and I'm gonna always say it wrong because I call it Kamala. I think Kamala. Tomato.
Not to offend people, I just go Vice President Harris. I know I get that right.
Well, I'm out. I like to offend people, so I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing.
I've seen you on television. It's weird.
I'm in a new commercial. No NIL money from Stein yet. Pissed about that. But that's a whole nother story. It's another lawsuit we're bringing up. But anyway, all right. So it's down to the final days.
It is.
We think we heard everything there is to hear. You can say anything you want to right now, and it doesn't change anybody's vote. It looks like. I
don't think so.
Because everything's coming up. I do love how ABC this morning, George Stephanopoulos goes, and Trump said he was ready to shoot the press at his rally. And then you heard what he said. He goes, if they shoot at me and hit the press, ain't no big deal. There's a big difference between shooting and getting shot at in the press.
And wanting someone to be shot, right? It's a far cry, but, hey, look, it is silly season. I mean, you don't have to actually say it for them to say you said it.
And I know. We've been there and done this.
It's not the first time. And we wonder why people don't trust the press. I don't know. I actually called a reporter one time. I hear him, he's sitting out in front of my office, and he's calling people in the Charlotte region. He was a Charlotte regional reporter. And he was calling people in Charlotte, not at the legislature, but asking them what they thought about this meeting. And I won't give up who the reporter was, and this is a long time ago, but I'm hearing him relay what had happened in a meeting that day at the legislature. But to hear him recount what happened in the meeting that I was sitting in, and I finally went over and sat at his table. I said, were we in the same meeting? Because I'm pretty sure that, I think I was chairing it. And it wasn't any opinion I had one way or the other as what was happening in the committee. But I'm like, I don't think it happened that way. I've listened to you in about 10 calls sitting over here like, no, I don't think any of that happened that way. And, of course, we agreed to disagree. But nevertheless, you just remember, you're always getting it relayed from somebody else, unless you hear it yourself.
Yeah. Well, I think Trump's going to pull North Carolina out.
I do, too. So if you don't follow Jim Blaine on X, and I had him on my show last week, and it's at Jim, Jim, BLAINE. God, try to get that out. Jim Blaine on X. And if you follow Jim, he gave a great a testament of the numbers each day. And he had, just yesterday had, or maybe this morning, had the final numbers from early voting. And you can read a lot into that. Doesn't mean we're going to make a prediction on just based on these numbers, but you do know trends. And he studied it. Him and Ray Martin, their business partners at the differentiators, they follow this stuff forward and backwards.
Oh, I know.
And they know it very well. And so first of all, unaffiliated voters won the early voting by a little bit. So in 24, they had 1,492,800 votes. Compared to 2020, it was 1,384,164. So a difference of about 108,000, right? So that's something. But they're unaffiliated. So
but it's the largest block of voters in North Carolina.
It is, and it's but we don't know their party necessarily, right? But we do know how they trend and how they vote.
Usually about 60% conservative.
Right.
So, these are the people that are pissed off at the conservatives because they're not conservative enough. So I won't be with you no more.
Yeah. Many times it is, right? And then you got the GOP came in second, because this is unheard of, right? Because it didn't normally win early voting. So the GOP increased their numbers by about 29,451 this time. So that's on early voting compared to 2020. The Democrats are down 268,000 and some votes in early voting.
That you'd think they'd at least be even.
And you would think that, that they'd at least be even with what they've done before.
Yeah.
Two, you would think that there would be more energy behind their candidate, right? Because if you listen to any of the guys on
gonna have to take a hard break. All right, folks, keep listening to us. We're into it. All right, be right back.
There's more Taking Care of Iredell with North Carolina Representative Jeff McNeely on the way from 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Well, a comfy start to our new week with a partly cloudy sky. Temperatures warm into the comfy upper 60s for our Monday afternoon. We'll go back down in the mid-50s overnight around the lake and warm back into the low to mid-70s by Tuesday, Election Day. No reason to not get out and vote. Although, as we go through the rest of the week, it's been a while, but we may have a better opportunity for some rain by Wednesday. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
The WSIC app is available now wherever you get your apps, featuring local deals from great local businesses, like Top Notch Gutters of Statesville.
Cakes and cookies, toys and gifts.
The Southern Christmas Show, November 14th through 24th at the Park Expo and Conference Center. Save on tickets at southernChristmasShow.com, courtesy of Kraft Body Scan.
The Southern Christmas Show.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. The Dirt Track at Charlotte Motor Speedway presents the World of Outlaws World Finals Wednesday through Saturday. Catch Dirt Racing's top 3 series for 4 days of action to decide their championships, featuring the World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series, the World of Outlaws Late Model Series, and the Super Dirt Car Big Block Modifieds. Single day and 4-day ticket packages plus camping information are all available at charlottemotorspeedway.com. Often imitated, never duplicated. The World of Outlaws World Finals invade the Charlotte Motor Speedway Dirt Track this weekend. Ghostface Brewing in Mooresville is having a veterans celebration on Sunday. Rocky Lynn will perform and rock the lot in a special outdoor concert. Beer Lab and Ghostface Brewing will be offering their full menu of drinks and food. Bring your chairs and enjoy this Veterans Day salute with a Rocky Lynn concert Sunday at Ghostface Brewing in Mooresville. The Mooresville Veterans Day Parade and celebration honors veterans from all branches and from all conflicts. The parade begins Monday, November 11th at Richard's Coffee Shop at 1 p.m. and travels to Mooresville Town Hall. Come join and say thank you to our veterans and hometown heroes on Monday, November 11th in downtown Mooresville. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
The Renaissance Festival is back, Saturdays and Sundays, now through November 24th. There's music, comedy, circus entertainments, huzzah! Tickets available online only at renfestinfo.com, while supplies last.
For 42 years, Johnson's Parts & Supply has been your Auto Plus auto parts store. When you need auto parts, think Johnson's Parts & Supply. Your Auto Plus auto parts store, 1112 Shelton Avenue, Statesville.
It's Taking Care of Iredell with NC Representative Jeff McNeely on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC. Local starts here.
All right, we was into it, and we're back into it now again here, folks. And we've done a lot of research in the meantime, and we've looked up Peanut the squirrel, whose fame on the internet's got about over 500,000 viewers. And Peanut was abducted by the New York State Conservation Department, it looks like, because they said he was being mistreated, and then they killed him. I don't know which was worse.
I guess that we put you out of your misery,
Yeah.
if that's the case. I don't know.
And I was like I told Jason, I've got no love for squirrels, but I do think they deserve a fair trial.
Well, they do. And apparently there's a raccoon involved, too. And
Yeah.
everyone has forgotten about the raccoon.
Of course, now he showed up wearing a mask. They knew he was going to be
That's
trouble.
right. Sure. That was probably that thing from Marvel, right?
Yeah.
The little raccoon,
The one-
Rocky or whatever.
Yeah, whatever it is. Gardens of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well,
okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to get a sidetracked on Peanut, but it is very important, and I think it's something that's going to help decide the election.
Well-
because I just saw, and it's got to be real. It can't be, AI generated or anything. A whole army of squirrels marching, so it could get real.
Well, it's not too late for them to vote. They'll be there tomorrow.
That's right.
First, early, too.
Well, they have to deliver their ballots in person. They say don't mail them now, right?
Okay.
Don't mail them,
This
because
is true.
if you do that, then it may not be
true.
counted. But squirrels are crafty little creatures.
They've invaded me. I know that much. It's a war at the McNeely house. But I would have probably let Peanut live. I'm just
You
saying.
would have spared Peanut.
Yeah.
Which I think would be the right thing to do.
Yeah. Anyway, back to it though. All right. So we got Trump. What do you think? I'm thinking 2%. I think he wins by 2 points. How much do you think he wins North Carolina?
In North Carolina, well, going back to those numbers, I mean, it could be bigger than that.
Well, that would be wonderful.
Well, and talking on the way to the station today, I was talking to a longtime friend of both mine and yours, and he is one of those I'm going to vote on Election Day guys, right? And he's served in public office, but he is just very much I'm going to vote on Election Day. So the question there too is, did we cannibalize early voting, or is this just a trend that's been good for Republicans? And or the Democrats going to show up on election day all of a sudden, right? I mean, maybe that's the case.
I don't know.
I mean, you can read a lot into the numbers. You think the momentum's going well. I've not seen anything over the weekend that would shift the momentum. So without some big quote unquote October surprise or something that would have happened over the weekend to shift voters, I tend to think that trend stays. But we'll see. I mean, there's still a lot of votes out there. People can go vote,
Oh, yeah.
and so we'll know more. But at least from the early voting that we saw, not looking good for Democrats across the state. I will say, obviously in a lot of those offices where they names that you've known for a long time, and we look at the governor's race. I mean, Josh Stein's been on the ballot a lot. People know him as AG. Elaine Marshall is a longtime serving Secretary of State, though our friend Chad Brown is running and hoping to unseat her.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to, it's hard to put all of those factors into what's happening. You can look at polling, but polling's a snapshot, and that's what people need to remember about polls. Polls are great. Polls can tell you momentum. They can give you some trending numbers, but the final poll is who shows up at the ballot box.
Exactly, when the votes are counted. Well, and this is what I've often found here, especially in the last probably 4 or 5 election cycles. If a Republican has a 2-point lead, we'll call it 2% lead, he's probably got a 4.
Right.
He's probably because I've watched them do the exit polling coming out, and it's almost comical. The Republicans, people that I know went in, come back out. They say, "Would you like to talk about what you just did?" And they go, "No."
Nope.
And they walk away. Then they come to people that I know by heart that are Democrats, good, bad, or indifferent. And they say, "Would you like to talk?" And they say, "Yeah." And they'll go over and kill 5 minutes with them talking.
Yeah.
Hey, that's cool. That's just the way people are built. I don't know why, but it's just what I see.
I don't remember the last time I answered a polling question.
Well, I don't.
Right? I mean, first
I
of all,
usually say, "Know your business."
who answers the phone
Yeah.
these days from a number you don't know,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Second of all, I get the digital ones too, right? But I don't know if it's someone asking about the national race between Trump and Vice President Harris, or if they're just trying to find out whether I'll buy different soap at Walmart. I don't know, right?
Or get your car home warranty,
Well, right.
home warranty, or
Home
your car
warranties,
warranty
yeah,
extended.
do a home alarm system. All that. I just don't know, so I don't really like to give up that information, right? So, and people are the same way when they come out of the polls. I mean, a lot of people, I don't. It's kind of different for me and you because we've been on the ballot, but before I can remember when I wasn't on the ballot, walking out and going, "It's nobody's business,"
Yeah.
right? That's my right. I get to do it. That's why we have the little booth. It's secret, and you get to do your thing.
Well, a lot of times, and you're not supposed to do this. Sorry, folks, but I'll take a picture of my ballot once I finish it. I won't share it with nobody.
Right.
I just have it.
Yeah.
So that way, if something comes up,
So in case somewhere somehow, I know, right?
yeah, just something comes up, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
So you never know. Let's just say, let's jump down here to our U.S. House of Representatives, which is both our districts, Pat Harrigan. And now, have you ever heard Ralph Scott? Have you talked to him or anything?
Randolph Scott?
Close.
Oh no,
Close.
sorry, no, I have not heard of Ralph Scott.
They wouldn't do this for Ralph Scott. They'd do it for Randolph Scott.
They would.
He came and spoke at a Farm Bureau meeting. They let both him and Pat speak. And I always say, and you're one of the best of this I've ever seen. You got to learn how to read a room. You've helped me learn how to read a room. Jason Saine's one of the best. Ralph Scott could not read the room for love or money that night because he got up and he's at a Farm Bureau meeting. He started talking about how we're not going to allow Donald Trump. I forgot how he said it now, but no, he said, some way he formed it. He goes, "We're not going to let him send people back, deport them." And people got up. Basically, the way he said it, they gave almost a standing ovation because we were going to send people back. Got it totally wrong. I'm looking around going,
wrong room.
You missed that one, buddy.
Well,
so anyway.
Reading room's important. I don't know Ralph Scott. I do know Pat Harrigan. Pat Harrigan's going to win by a landslide.
Yeah, solid.
It was a
solid
favorable
dude.
district to begin with. But look, if you can't make any noise, I'll be out tomorrow with our soon-to-be congressman and our state party chairman at one of the polls locally. He's out there. He's been out there, even though he's going to win. He had a close race in the primary with our good friend Gray Mills.
Yeah.
As Republicans do, we make up and we go on and we move on. And Pat has done everything, checked all the boxes. He'll be the next congressman for the 10th district for sure.
And very articulate. Very
good guy. Yeah.
You look at Pat, and I tell everybody he's a killing machine. I see why he was a Green Beret.
True story.
I mean, he's like 6'7", man. He's a huge guy, but very articulate. Very bright. very smart, very knowledgeable.
Knows the issues very
well. And he'll represent us well. He will do a good job.
He will. He'll do a good job. And again, just I always love the people who are out there campaigning, even when it's a layup, right?
Yeah.
And he's one of those people because he really does want to get the feedback from the people in the district. He wants to know what's going on, wants to talk and interface with voters instead of running away from them. It could be real easy just to stay at home because you're going to win anyway. Yeah. But he's done the right thing. And like I say, I'm sorry, Mr. Scott, don't know you. Haven't heard much from you. I haven't seen any signs or anything. So it's a challenger campaign in a tough district. Now there's going to be some other districts across the state that are going to be very interesting. District number 1. Don Davis.
I think Don's going to get that one.
Well, I don't know. I've from my visits up there.
She's working.
She's working very hard. Military veteran.
She's a good. Ain't nothing wrong with her. Don't get me wrong, folks. She's a good candidate.
Checks a lot of boxes. Did you get to serve with Don? I mean, I did.
Not really.
Okay, so I did really. Know him very well. He's well liked. So it is going to be a tough race.
Yeah,
that's a more competitive race. We'll see there. Speaker Moore is going to win that congressional race over there. I couldn't tell you his opponent's name either.
I know.
And I was all over that district over the weekend.
But obviously Tim needs money because he keeps texting me.
Well, something about it's the mother's milk and
yeah.
It happens. Could do a shameless plug for your campaign right now. But those races aren't going to be that exciting. So it is going to be those council state races we're talking about, right? So as you move down the ballot, we've talked about the presidential, we've talked about the House of Representatives. You get into the gubernatorial race.
There's one to talk about.
There's one to talk about. But the polling just suggests that it's not going to be close. And you can with a plus or minus margin, +1, +2, +3. All right, you might could say it could swing, but this has been pretty. Yeah, it's been a pretty big.
Oh,
lead.
I know. But if some way, somehow, Mark Robinson would pull this out, folks, this would be the greatest upset of all time.
It would be absolutely historic for sure.
Because Josh Stein, feeling so good, started doling out millions to other candidates in House and Senate races, trying to bust up our supermajority. He feels so good about it. Of course, he raised 15 times more money than Mark did, ungodly amount.
Right.
And so, if every Republican shows up and votes, and they did what they did,
Well, and that's the question of how polarized we are, right?
Yeah.
What if the polls don't really matter because everybody's so polarized to either go vote for the blue or vote for the red, right? And whatever your preference is. What if we're seeing that in these early voting numbers, that they don't care? They're like, I'm not voting for that party, period.
Yeah.
So it could have an impact. I don't think so, but it could.
Well, and Trump's kind of counting on everybody being pissed off.
Well, and they are.
Yeah.
If you go out and you talk to people, this we know. This we know for sure. But go just below that on the ballot and go to lieutenant governor's race. Rachel Hunt, whose dad was former governor.
Yep.
But a lot of people don't remember that. It's been a long time since he was governor.
And Rachel sure ain't done nothing to make you remember her.
Well, even sitting in the Charlotte market, which that's where her district is, I haven't seen so much advertising that I think is moving the needle a whole lot. At some point, there's saturation. You just don't, your message doesn't get out. But there's Hal Weatherman might be the beneficiary of people just marking straight ballots, right? Traditionally, lieutenant governor candidates in the Republican side don't have a lot of money. So they got to go out there and do all the grassroots things, and Hal's certainly done that. I mean, you see his signs everywhere.
He's a worker, man.
Yeah. So that one, I think, could be more of a surprise, right? That Hal could beat a former, governor's daughter who's got a, household name. The Hunt name is everywhere, and I know the former governor, nice guy.
He is.
Our politics are different, but, nice guy. So we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, Hal, it's going to be interesting with Hal. He's caught a lot of crap that he shouldn't have to caught,
right?
In a way, but he's also been out there working for 2 years to do this. So it's a thing. I think Hal will do a great job. All right, folks, we got another hard break. We're not even nowhere close down this ballot. So, but if you want to call in after the break, 844-788-3464. We're going to break right now for the middle of the show, and we'll be back with Jason Saine laying it on us.
We'll be back with more of NC Representative Jeff McNeely and Taking Care of Iredell after this short break on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Well, a comfy start to our new week with a partly cloudy sky. Temperatures warm into the comfy upper 60s for our Monday afternoon. We'll go back down to the mid-50s overnight around the lake and warm back into the low to mid-70s by Tuesday, Election Day. No reason to not get out and vote. Although, as we go through the rest of the week, it's been a while, but we may have a better opportunity for some rain by Wednesday. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Hi, this is Bob McIntosh with the McIntosh Law Firm in Davidson. Since 1997, we have been committed to providing our clients with competent, caring, and experienced legal services. Learn more at McIntoshLawFirm.com.
Hey, this is Jeff McNeely, owner of G&M Milling Company in beautiful downtown Lowray. We at G&M hope you come by and see us for all your livestock needs. We stock feeds for all kinds of animals and hay too. We also have seed for a wide variety of forages for your animals. So come on by 4000 Taylorsville Highway, Statesville, or call us at 704-873-5758. We're worth the drive. Thank you again for supporting small family-owned businesses. God bless.
For 42 years, Johnson's Parts and Supply has been your Auto Plus auto parts store. When you need auto parts, think Johnson's Parts and Supply. Your Auto Plus auto parts store, 1112 Shelton Avenue, Statesville.
New lunch specials now available at Mooresville's best Italian spot, Pomodoro's. Open Tuesday through Sunday and ready to serve you the best Italian this side of the motherland. View the mouth-watering menu at pomodoros.com.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. As many young people find they can't afford to buy their first home, the median age of a U.S. home buyer keeps rising. In its annual profile of home buyers and sellers, the National Association of Realtors says the typical home buyer is 56, oldest ever, and numbers going back to 1981. The median age of the first-time buyer has also spiked, now at 38 years old. That's a full decade older than in the 80s. So what's driving the markets right now? If you said the election, that'd be a good guess. But in keeping with all that's unusual about this election year, strategists at Citigroup say bets about tomorrow's outcome are being eclipsed by market hopes connected to the Fed Reserve's interest rate plans. That means recent economic indicators, such as lowering inflation but also lowering job creation, are being weighed for their impact on the Fed more than on the electorate. Right now, Wall Street's indexes are splitting it, Dow losing 0.25%, NASDAQ gaining 0.25%. S&P 500, little changed. Andrew O'Day, Bloomberg Radio.
Now, more Taking Care of Iredell with North Carolina Representative Jeff McNeely on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
All right, back here with the second half of the show. This is Barry White filling in for Jeff McNeely. It sounds like with his voice, love to love you, baby. Oh. Anyway, we're getting crazy.
Barry White was not where I was going to go, but I'll let you hear there.
Huggy Bear. Or no, what was that guy from one of those old shows? I can't remember. Anyway, I tell you what, we'll jump on down. We talked about Lieutenant Governor. One of the races that I think is critical in this cycle is North Carolina Attorney General.
Well, for a lot of reasons, right? But it represents probably one of the best opportunities that Republicans have had in many, many years of winning that AG's race. We ran some good candidates for sure, but they just never seemed to catch fire. With Dan Bishop being the congressman and has been a state Senate guy, state House guy, we got to serve with him in state House and state Senate, and he's very much an ideologue. And he's very, very plain spoken, and he doesn't back down.
No.
And so this has been a race that's, I think, just from the sidelines, been fun to watch. I mean, full disclosure, I'm a financial supporter of Dan Bishop, so I obviously got my bias. But I've known Dan for a long time, since the first time he ran for office. I was a little college Republican at UNC Charlotte, putting out signs.
He's got a commissioner at one time.
Yeah, exactly. And so I've known Dan for a long time, so he's very sincere. I don't know Jeff Jackson all that well, although we were at the legislature at the same time. He was in the Senate. A lot of times we don't, cross-pollinate, if you will, unless you're negotiating a budget, and you're only dealing with a few senators at that time, right? So, and he was in a minority party, so he wasn't invited to the table.
Well, you didn't really hear much out of it.
No, you didn't. Other than the time that it snowed and he was in the building, on Twitter, acting like he was running the whole legislature. It snowed in Raleigh. We're not really good at that, right? So it's called North Carolina. Snow's not our thing. But yeah, I mean, but he became this social media darling, right?
Yeah, well, that's what I know.
But the question is, how does that translate? Are you just is it an echo chamber, which I tend to think that social media oftentimes is? If you like somebody and they're on their, on Twitter, on Instagram, whatever, TikTok, doing their thing, and you're a fan of that, and you're just consuming more and more of it, are you really expanding your base? And I tend to think the answer is not really that much, right? So then it comes down to law and order, who people trust on these issues. When you hear attorney general, you think, well, this is the person, prosecuting the bad guys and so forth. People tend to trend, at least in years past, toward the Republicans. That's why they took the partisanship off the judge races, right?
Yeah.
Because Democrats couldn't get elected. They couldn't be effectively running in that. So we put it back on. But you definitely have it in the AG's race. But you've had a long-standing tradition of it being a Democrat attorney general in North Carolina. Dan Bishop is shaking that up. We'll see what happens, but I do tend to think that Dan's going to do well.
Well, and to me, there's a couple of different things. The attorney general is your top cop. He ought to be the one that everybody goes to. And you hadn't heard a lot out of Josh Stein here lately doing anything. He come up and had his little 7-point thing that after 8 years in office, I'm going to actually show you what we need to do here to make it safe in North Carolina.
Right.
Only if you'll let me governor. I can't do it because I'm attorney general, so I can't do that, But, I mean, to me, this is how you cut the head out of the snake off, because the path that we've seen in Democrat politics in North Carolina is go run for attorney general. We'll make you look pretty, and then we'll run you for governor.
AG stands for aspiring governor. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So not only do I want somebody in there that's tough on crime, and I don't think we're going to see that with Jeff Jackson, because he's never showed me that he would be tough on crime. He's been involved in the defunded police people. He's been involved in all these other things that I've seen that seem to be anarchy more than actually governing. And so I feel like Dan Bishop is by far the better quality candidate. Now, it's going to be a lot of people ain't going to look at it like that, but I feel like he's the better quality candidate to make sure North Carolinians are safe at night when they shut their doors and go home and sleep.
Well, and safety and is a big issue still, right? I mean, it's not been that long since the riots, and when downtown Raleigh was being tore up, that's still fresh on people's minds. It's not. We haven't had that much distance between that, right?
Right.
What was happening in Charlotte and other places, and quite frankly, the average voter who doesn't live in a city, that kind of stuff scares them. And when they see it on television, it gets magnified, it gets retweeted. Sometimes it's portrayed far worse than it is. Sometimes it's not portrayed at all. Right? They don't even report it. But I do think that it's something that when voters vote on those issues, they tend to trend Republican. And I haven't seen anything that really separated Jeff Jackson, from that defund the police movement, whether he is or isn't for it. I just hadn't seen enough distance from that. So I think voters think about that when they go into the polls. We'll see how deep they think about it when coming tomorrow.
One thing too I haven't really noticed, and maybe it's happening more in the bigger cities, and I'm here stuck in Statesville, but I haven't seen Josh Stein or Roy Cooper really come out and really get behind Jeff Jackson and say, "Oh, I was Attorney General, and he's got what I haven't seen that." So maybe they just assume.
Well, voters got to remember too, we get different commercials than they get in the Raleigh market.
Yeah. And that may be like what's happening.
I never really thought about it, but when serving in Raleigh and having a condo there, having to go back and forth, that I shared with state senator, I would go up for a day or two and watch local television, and it was much different programming as far as the commercials as it was in Western North Carolina. Here, Western North Carolina, it's mainly Republican leaning, but for Mecklenburg, just south of us, everything else around it, surrounding Mecklenburg, is Republican, right? And so we get a much different intake of commercials. So you always got to remember that what's happening statewide or what's happening on the other side of the state may not be what's happening here. Of course, you've got the hurricane that's had an impact too, and suppressed, because people are trying to put their lives back together, not worried about who to go vote for. You're not seeing, at least I thought I saw in the numbers that they were reporting that number was still kind of depressed. Now, it may be that those folks are waiting on Election Day. To come out and voice their concerns, their affirmations or condemnations of how things have been handled during the hurricane. And so we'll see if that plays an impact as well. And it could have a large bearing on a race like the AG's race, which is probably going to be close.
It's going to probably be within 5,000 votes. I bet.
Yeah, it may be.
It's just there.
It may be. And we've seen that with Supreme Court race last time when Newby was on, right? So very close race. So that could happen. If you want to work down the ballot, we've got the auditor's race, Dave Bullock, Jessica Holmes, who is the current auditor. Of course, she was appointed. Yeah. And then, and no offense to the folks in the Libertarian Party, I just don't know who you are, right? And I just don't know. And
I know they're probably going to take some votes from us.
Well, they may. They very well may. And Bob, and I don't want to mispronounce it, but it looks like Drach, D-R-A-C-H. I don't know Bob. And we'll see what happens there. And it may take votes from the other side, too.
And Dave's a good guy. Jessica Holmes, knowing a little bit about her, she was really a Raleigh City Council person, I think it was, or County Commissioner of Wake. I can't remember now. But no real background in this at all.
Well, and look, and in that defense, I will say, and I'm voting for Dave.
Yeah.
So there, I just shared my secret ballot. But I've interacted a lot with the auditor's office. They get the job done. They do what they're supposed to do. I think it's just a matter of people voting party preference a lot in this, which will matter.
Who looks after your money better?
Yeah,
who looks after
that's
your money
right.
better?
And knowing Dave personally, like I do, I know he's very well qualified to do the job.
Oh yeah.
And so again, these are these down ballot races that people don't necessarily pay attention to. So hopefully we've done the state some service and at least bringing some of those candidates on our side, admittedly on our side. But giving them a place to kind of give their ideas and get out there, because they're not going to get it, really through the media. So we'll see how that happens. It plays, Commissioner of Agriculture, Steve Troxler's on the ballot.
This is a big one for me because I'm ag, and I tell you what, this Sarah Tabor, this lady, I don't know where they find these people. The last time they had a trisexual vegan wanting to be the commissioner and take away all the animal agriculture. This lady here wants us to just grow fruits and nuts and berries because they're more profitable. So, I mean, she says the problem with agriculture is the family farm. That's the problem with agriculture.
And how is that the problem?
Well, her theory is that this all goes back to the colonists that come over on the boat, and your family got that land first, and y'all have just kept it and grew it and grew it. And now, it's a crazy.
So it's a social experiment. Okay.
Yeah, well, she thinks that we need to have community farms, and which is a great idea until you go to the bank, sell the party money. Me and my 30 neighbors,
Who's paying the bill this week? Is it?
Yeah. Who's going to get up and hoe? Who's going to go out and hoe the work?
Well, right.
Folks, I'm sorry. And really, we put this in our Constitution at the very beginning that our Commissioner of Agriculture, when they formed this, has to be a farmer.
Right.
Well, she claimed it. And then they couldn't find her farm. And then she couldn't find her farm. And we did find her garden out back of her house. And that's where her claim to fame of being a farmer is. She has a small little vegetable plot out behind her house.
Well, heck, I can grow tomatoes. I didn't qualify me. Yeah.
I know. You can grow them inside.
That's right.
So, but just there's a lot. Steve Troxler, me and him, I ain't going to tell you, we always get along. I can't say that about anybody on this darn ballot because I'm too hard to get along with. But by and far, more qualified, done a great job. Makes agriculture run in North Carolina. Sarah Tabor, if you like to see what socialist is going to look like in your food, then she'd be the one to vote for. And we're all going to go hungry. We're all going to go hungry. So.
Hard pass on that one. I think I'll vote for Steve Troxler.
Well, it's not hard. All right, we got about 30 seconds here. We'll do real quick on the Commissioner of Insurance, and we got to take a hard break. But Mike Causey's been there. We know Natasha. It's hard to get Natasha to speak to you on the bridge walking back and forth the building. I don't know if I'd want to work for her if I was in the
like you say, we know her.
We know her.
And I'm going to leave it there.
Yeah.
People will read into that what they want to.
That's the best way I know to do it here. Hey, when we come back, we've got another good one to talk about. We got Luke Farley and we got Braxton Winston. So hang tight. this is a crazy one too.
Keep it right here. Taking Care of Iredell with NC Representative Jeff McNeely will return after this short break on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Well, a comfy start to our new week with a partly cloudy sky. Temperatures warm into the comfy upper 60s for our Monday afternoon. We'll go back down to the mid-50s overnight around the lake and warm back into the low to mid-70s by Tuesday, Election Day. No reason to not get out and vote. Although, as we go through the rest of the week, it's been a while, but we may have a better opportunity for some rain by Wednesday. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Cakes and cookies, toys and gifts.
The Southern Christmas Show, November 14th through 24th at the Park Expo and Conference Center. Save on tickets at southernChristmasShow.com, courtesy of Kraft Body Scan.
The Southern Christmas Show.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. The Dirt Track at Charlotte Motor Speedway presents the World of Outlaws World Finals Wednesday through Saturday. Catch Dirt Racing's top 3 series for 4 days of action to decide their championships, featuring the World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series, the World of Outlaws Late Model Series, and the Super Dirt Car Big Block Modifieds. Single day and 4-day ticket packages plus camping information are all available at charlottemotorspeedway.com. Often imitated, never duplicated. The World of Outlaws World Finals invade the Charlotte Motor Speedway dirt track this weekend. Ghostface Brewing in Mooresville is having a veteran celebration on Sunday. Rocky Lynn will perform and rock the lot in a special outdoor concert. Beer Lab and Ghostface Brewing will be offering their full menu of drinks and food. Bring your chairs and enjoy this Veterans Day salute with a Rocky Lynn concert Sunday at Ghostface Brewing in Mooresville. The Mooresville Veterans Day Parade and celebration honors veterans from all branches and from all conflicts. The parade begins Monday, November 11th at Richard's Coffee Shop at 1 p.m. and travels to Mooresville Town Hall. Come join and say thank you to our veterans and hometown heroes on Monday, November 11th in downtown Mooresville. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
The Renaissance Festival is back Saturdays and Sundays. Now through November 24th, there's music, comedy, circus entertainments. Huzzah! Tickets available online only at renfestinfo.com while supplies last.
Taking Care of Iredell continues. Here's your host, NC Representative Jeff McNeely on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Y'all, I'm telling you, this show's going by quick. I hope you're paying attention. A lot of good information. It's a lot of fun anyway. Whatever.
Well, we're having a good time.
We are.
We should do these joint shows more often.
We really should. All right, let's get to this Commissioner of Labor, and then we're going to try to pick up the pace because we got about 12 minutes. It's going quick. But you got Luke Farley, who's a normal person.
Yeah.
And then you got Braxton Winston, who is not a normal person.
He's an interesting dude. You know, Braxton from Charlotte City Council fame.
Yep.
Davidson grad, which, you know,
he won't wear that shirt around a lot because, you know, that would make him look like the elitist.
Kind of an elitist.
Yeah.
But certainly very radical in his beliefs and would be something far different for people in North Carolina in terms of labor commissioner. You know, we were used to Cherie Berry, the elevator queen, who has endorsed Luke Farley.
Yep.
And Cherie was my state house representative when I was growing up and would volunteer on her campaigns. She and Joe Kaiser, the former sheriff, they had that joint district and shared that. So back when we had those 2 or 3 member house districts, whatever it was, Luke level set, knows what he's doing, would do a great job at the Department of Labor. Braxton is a kind of a political cartoon, if you will.
Yeah.
Very, very left wing. I mean, by his own admission,
you can't get no farther left.
Yeah, we're not putting words in his mouth. He's very left wing, and he's very proud of it.
Yeah.
Would be an interesting pick for labor commissioner. And the thing is, you never know what turnout's going to do and how people are going to vote. Maybe they think Braxton Winston II sounds like a really cool name, and they vote that way, right?
Yeah, scarily.
Hopefully they do vote for Luke Farley, but we'll see. But I do know from, I've had Luke on the show, and again, got to meet him on the campaign trail. He was running in a primary against one of our colleagues from the House.
Yeah,
He won that race. And so I've got to know him since that primary and really impressed with the guy. So I think he'll do a good job.
He's just solid. He's just solid. And Braxton, I'm telling you folks, whatever you think he's not going to do, he's going to do it. And his big thing with us, because like I said, I play in agriculture. He's already made the statement that he's going to unionize all the farm labor in North Carolina, legal or illegal. Didn't care. Actually, even said that
would be a new thing for North Carolina. Like I say, I don't give that. I mean, I think even reasonable Democrats who are out there, if they're still out there, they are out there, and I think they're going. This is just a little too much. Right?
He's. I mean, like I said, he makes Kamala look like a very conservative Newt Gingrich almost.
Yeah,
and that's how far more left he is, folks. I just don't know, like I said, and I know a lot of people say, "Oh, well, the farm workers they need this and they need." Actually, we're having to pay our immigrant farm workers a heck of a salary. We should just hire American people for what we're paying the people to come.
And there are a lot of programs in place already that deal with labor laws and protecting those that are working on farms and so forth. So, I mean, it's not like that's just been ignored. So, again, I think it's just a bridge too far for most voters if they're informed on that race. That's the question. Are they informed?
Yeah. And next one, we got a lane marshal. And I always say, if a nuclear bomb drops, two things are going to survive: cockroaches and a lane marshal. Not that she's a cockroach, folks, but she's just been there forever. I think 96.
She has, and
since 96,
and she's
certainly
80, and
I think she's 82.
Maybe been around a while.
Yeah.
Competent. I mean, over the years having been the appropriations chairman, obviously I'd interface with the Secretary of State's office, and have Chad Brown's a good friend, dear friend. Again, we're both Republicans. We're supporting our ticket. But a lot of folks now. I think Elaine Marshall and her politics is a little more left wing.
Oh yeah.
But it doesn't really impact that office as much as it's just getting the job done. And now they've had challenges on upgrading and getting a
IT.
IT, but to be fair, part of that is just the fact that state government doesn't move fast, and it's a little less responsive than it should be. But that race will be one. I think it comes down to just turnout of the parties and where they're leaning. I mean, much like most of these council states. Yeah.
R&D. And I will say this: they spent money about. I think we gave it to them 4 years ago to redo their website, and it's better. Why? It is not friendly at all to using a cell phone. You have to have a laptop,
desktop.
Yeah, desktop or something. And the woman told me, she goes, "Well, this website," because I actually emailed them trying to do something on my phone on a trip. Come down to today was my day to file the LLC stuff and and that was my fault. Ungodly trying to get through and do it on a cell phone. Ungodly.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you. I told her this. She goes, "Well, we never have any problem. You just need to carry your laptop with you before you go." I go, "You're probably right, ma'am. You're probably
why didn't I think of that? Right,
You're probably right."
Again, it's not it's not how government approaches problems, unfortunately. I think we've pushed for a lot of change, but it doesn't happen fast enough. That's one where it could happen faster, and I think everybody would be a lot more satisfied.
Yeah. All right, next one. This is kind of a firebrand here. We got Mo Green and we got Michelle Mara, and Michelle kind of come out of nowhere in the primary and beat Catherine Truitt. She's said a lot of things. She's obviously conservative, clearly conservative. And this will be an interesting test because for some reason or another, in my opinion, this is probably one spot on the ballot that a lot of people may actually lean more middle, maybe even a little over the middle to the left to a point because so many of your educators are on that side of the street. They just are. And we'll see. So Catherine Truitt, I thought winning last time. Of course, Republicans have done pretty good. We had Johnson before that.
Right.
So we have held a record. So this will be an interesting thing to see how this goes. This race here, right here, I think will be really critical to if there's a red wave.
Well, that's right. I think this is the ballot test right here.
It is.
If this race gets called, sooner than others, I don't know how it would, but if you see some trend in those numbers early on, I think you're going to know where the state is leaning. So I would watch that race just because I haven't seen much advertising out of either one of them, just on X and so forth. The social media doesn't necessarily count. I mean, you get a portion of voters, but I haven't seen like actual advertising campaigns from either camp, and I have no idea what they've raised. So if you look at that race, it's almost like a wash the slate clean, because neither one have been in a statewide public office, so
Right.
people don't know their names. Like a Braxton Winston, I could say, oh well, at least the Charlotte region, he's on television a lot, and people know him. I think nobody knows these two candidates, right? And so if in that case, if you look at those early numbers, and that's coming one way or the other, I think that might be how the ballot's going to trend statewide.
You're exactly right. This is going to be very interesting. All right, jump down here real quick. We got about 5 minutes or so. We got Wesley Harris and Brad Brenner, and Brad understands economics.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to worry about the business school at Carolina, the other, because we have done things in the House and watched Wesley get up and tell us how wrong we are, and this will never work. And our tax dollars increase every time that we bring in when we cut taxes. It just dumbdefies him. And it's the Keynesian idea that you can't gain if you don't take money from people.
Well, that's right. I mean, this comes down to philosophy, really. And look, and I like Wesley as a friend, and worked with him on
Idle
other
County
issues.
boy,
Yeah.
Idle County boy.
But clearly not in the supply side camp, right?
No.
He's certainly not a Reaganomics kind of guy. And we're Brad's business guy, and I don't want to speak for Brad, but what I've seen from him, what I've, of course, I've talked to him and know him. He is. I mean, he falls more in line with the philosophy of the state legislature at this point, and where we're building up surpluses, and where we are building up rainy day funds, and where we are cutting taxes, and we are shrinking the size and scope of government. Brad fits that mold.
Yeah.
Wesley does not, and that's just by the things that he said on the House floor. And again, that doesn't mean he's a bad guy. I like him a lot.
Well, it's just the difference between somebody handling billions of dollars like Brad has, or somebody that's trying to figure out how to balance their personal checkbook.
Well, right, and
it's experience,
and it's two
one
very
has it,
different
one doesn't.
skill sets, right? So as state treasurer, there's that race. You got the Supreme Court justice seat. Jefferson Griffin's a great friend of mine.
Solid guy.
Allison Riggs is the one that I see telling you exactly how she's going to make decisions before it ever comes before the court, which I thought was actually kind of against
I don't think that's how it works.
The ethics of judges in running for office. But what do I know? I don't have a law degree. I just practice it on the House floor. But but holy cow! I mean, there's a very different philosophy, right? Jefferson Griffin, who says, I am going to be judicious as a judge, which seems important, and I'm going to take those on a case by case basis. Where Riggs comes right out and says exactly what she's going to do, and that bothers me a lot when we're thinking about judicial races.
Me and you talked about this. I mean, to me, if you've already made up your mind on a case that's never showed up in front of you already, well, then you recuse yourself, because we look for justice to have those blind eyes and just hear the facts.
Right.
Just the facts. All right, we're going to bust it a lot. Tom Murray, I think, is obviously the better choice. I know Valerie Zachary. She's good. Right. She's the choice. Chris Feeman's a real good dude.
Yep.
I like Chris a lot. That Sawyer woman. Go ahead. I'll close one eye. No, I'm just teasing.
No.
Vicki Sawyer's done a heck of a job for us here in the county. We appreciate it.
What a mistake it would be if you didn't send Vicki back. I think she wins by a landslide. But look, she's a transportation chair.
High-ranking woman.
Pairs very well with the legislative delegation here. Send her back. It makes a smart choice.
We got about 30 seconds. We'll hit on this one real important race. The McNeely guy, by far.
I've heard of it.
There's no question.
I've heard of it.
No question.
I do tend to think in this Ruby Red area that I forget. I tend to forget that you've got competition. I think you're going to be okay, Jeff.
Well, it's crazy out there at the polls. I've been out there with them, and one of them's actually stealing votes from the other one, and I'm getting mine. So I said, y'all go ahead and fight it out.
Fight it out.
All right, we're down here to the end, and it's time to say a prayer, and Lord knows we need it.
We need it. If anybody needs Jesus.
We did. Dear Heavenly Father, dear Lord, we just we thank you for the ability to vote for people in a free country, and we thank you, Lord, for people willing to serve, and we pray that your will be done, because it will. You'll pick who these people are, and we'll hopefully honor them and try to make sure to give them the most support, and we'll pray for them. In Jesus Christ's name, amen.
Amen.
All right, folks, till next week, take care, vote red.
Representative Jeff McNeely. Join Jeff again next Monday morning at 11:05 for Taking Care of Iredell on News Talk WSIC.